Hey everybody, we're going to get started with this one pretty quickly. I have a Mesa Badlander 100 and I have a Mesa Badlander 25. The Badlander 100, I put the EL34s back in it. If you recall in the other video, I went with EL34s, 6L6s in back, and we did a little bit of a comparison between this and the 25 water, but we did it with the cell phone microphone. What I have now, to my lower left, I have a Shure SM57. It's on a small stand, and the stand's sitting on a piece of rubber. That way we don't get anything picked up from the floor here. I have the settings about the same between the two amplifiers. They're going to sound dramatically different due to the power sections. I mean, this is a 100-watt amplifier. This is a 25-watt amplifier. I have a Keeley modified Ibanez TS-9 here, and what I would like to do is hopefully you can see when that LED's on. That's the reason I pointed it this way. That way, you know, if you're watching a video, you want to know what in the hell's going on. So if you see that LED, that's on, that's off. If you don't, I'm sorry that I wasted some of your time with that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play with this a little bit. The settings are identical on each of them. So I'm going to start with this guy, the 100, and I'm going to play with these settings, and then I'm going to turn everything to noon, and I will, unlike the other video where I lied to you, I will adjust the EQ on this. And then I will put it back to where I am with this, and I will switch it into 20-watt mode. So it's not the same as the 25 of this, but we are into a Mesa Vertical 212 cabinet, and everything will be the same. So it'll be that cable goes to that amp when I use it, and it stays in this amp when I use this one, and I'll just switch the speaker cable. So you'll hear a pop when I switch this microphone off. You know most of the riffs that we play when we do this, and I'm just going to noodle around a little bit here. So here we go. Okay, I'm going to turn everything to noon, including the gain, not the master volume, though. Sure as hell not that. So everything at noon, including the gain. We are in the crush setting. I don't think I said that at the beginning. And we are in the 100-watt mode. Okay, now I'm going to we'll chug on an A, and I'll take the bass all the way up and back, presence all the way up and back. I'm just going to go from left to right over, so the master will stay the same. And yes, I'm aware I screwed up the last piece I played. The little bit of feedback that you heard when I was taking the treble up and back was because we had some other strings vibrating there. So on the treble, I went up and back 2 times. So going to take the gain back to about 2:30, 3 o'clock, and riff a little bit, kick the tube screamer back on, and then switch to the 25 water. The one last thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to take a look back here at my interface and see if I clip when I do this. So if I abandon the idea, you'll know immediately. But I'm going to leave this mic on for just a second while I play through this so you can hear a mix of the 57 and the room. So let's just see what this does here. I'm going to look back at my clipping indicator. So that was with this microphone on as well. The direction's not perfect. You can see where the cab is, you can see where the mic is, but that's an idea. So you have a blend of the mic here plus the mic I'm speaking through. And I'm fully aware that I keep doing this. I'm not a vocalist, so I couldn't care less about that. I just want to make some riffs with this. All right, so going to change amps here real quick. Take no time at all. So we'll flick this guy to standby. And we'll flick it to off. Not really necessary on the Badlander series. If this is the first Badlander video you've watched, the Mesa Badlander series of amplifiers are the only series of Mesa amplifiers that I'm aware of that you will not fry the amplifier if you do not have a load hooked up to it. I've taken both of these amplifiers apart, partly because I'm a crazy person, but I did it before I even played through them. And there is a reactive load, as it's so called, in them. When you take the amplifier apart, you can just follow where the direct out line goes on this over to the load. And what happens if you don't have a speaker cable connected to these, it just defaults to that. So I'm going to switch these out real quick and then just go right back to playing. So everything on this amplifier is the same setting that the big boy had at the beginning of the video. And then we moved everything to noon. And I got to be honest with you, it wasn't where I would keep it. But if you just gave me this amplifier at noon with that gain and that tube screamer, I wouldn't even need the second channel. I could just roll back the gain. Roll back the volume on my guitar, have this for an extreme overdrive if I wanted it. I'm really happy with what I'm hearing in the room. So I'm going to be anxious to hear what comes back out on the video for you guys. You know, I leave everything in, the mistakes, everything. So it's just going out there like this. All right. It feels like this isn't as loud, and I should have looked as soon as I started to see the waveform. I'm going to bump the volume up on the 25 just a bit. That feels really bright in the room, so I'm going to do all of the noon settings now. Shit, before that, I'm going to do the tube screamer on, even if it is too bright. Going to do like we did with the big boy. We're going to just take up and back on all of the settings here, and then we'll jam with it with everything at noon with the tube screamer, and then maybe a little bit of adjustment there. Immediately, the sounds I hear are a little bit of a lack of low-end dynamics and a little bit more brightness, but how much of that is the power section and how much of that is the difference in tubes? So, well, I understand I just said power section, but what I mean is the power transformers on the big bad boy. No, I call it the bad boy. The big Badlander, they're larger. I mean, they have to be. It's a 100-watt amplifier, whereas the 25-watt, they're smaller. It's more convenient, lightweight, compact, blah, blah, blah. Back to jamming. I did forget what I was going to say, but I remembered now. The tubes. So the power section, is it the transformers only, or is it the tubes too? Because, I mean, we have EL34s in this, and then EL84s in the Badlander 25. And while we're on the subject of tubes, I didn't like how the Badlander 100 sounded with 6L6s, and I haven't done a video with it yet, and I wish I would have thought to do this before I started recording. I like E34L, so not EL34, E34L. It's an EL34 tube. It fits the same octal bass. They bias relatively closely, where you will have no problem using them interchangeably between the amplifiers. But I kind of like them a little bit more. You get a little bit more tightness in the low end, and the highs don't seem as sharp, so to speak. But anyway, we're just going to do the up and back through the knobs here. A little shrill with the gain up all the way on the high strings. We're going to try and dial some of that out here. I keep saying we. I mean, like I'm in a basement by myself with some amplifiers. The audience, you and I mean, we're doing this together. You're putting up with this shit as I'm doing it. So thank you for that. But back to work. Okay, that's kind of weird to dial in and out. What the next move is going to be is leave this mic on while I play with that mic on. Okay, for the last comparison that I want to do, so that was the Badlander 25 in 25 watt mode. We're going to power back on our big boy here, and we'll put it in 20 watt mode, and then use the same settings that I had on it before. So let's do this. So what I was doing, I was taking a look at the waveform here. I don't know if you can see this, but we're going larger. So when the waveform gets larger on a soundboard here, it's going to sound really stupid the way I said it. You can see that it's getting louder, and I was trying to equalize the volume. So where we were with the mini bad boy, the bad baby, whatever you want to call it, to get to that volume, actually it's pretty similar now that I look at it on the big Badlander. I mean, I don't think I'm very far off. What I'll do, I'm just going to turn the knob where the volume is on that. Going to leave the room mic on for a little bit with this one now too. So we've completed our assignment, I guess. High volume on this guy, high volume on this guy. The 20 watt mode on this would definitely be usable in a band context. Same with the full 25 watt mode on the the little Badlander. Definitely usable in a band mix. So I watched my mini rectifier video, the one that's actually there, the one I repaired, and I really think that the mini rectifier, I was really digging the way I had it set on the rhythm. When I got into the higher notes, I wasn't too fond of it. It felt kind of shrill. The Badlander overall, I far preferred, but I felt the mini rectifier just had that, I don't know, that diamond plate punch in the face that you got from an old dual rectifier. There's a reason they've pretty much been the standard for how many years now. You have an entire group of people that have said, hey, try these, they're pretty good. And then an entire group of people that just don't want to try them because everyone's tried them, or not everyone, a whole bunch of people have tried a Mesa. It's like they go out of their way to avoid using the models or the brand as a result of that. Definitely usable in a band context. More than enough EQ between all of the controls. Takes an overdrive extremely well. The reason I used a TS-9 is you either are using an SD1 or a TS-9 type overdrive, or you could say a Klon type or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But almost everybody has heard a Tube Screamer. Almost everybody's heard SD1. Either of them would work. I figured the green would go well because everyone remembers it. So to close out, I guess that's it. That's really all I have on this. I hope you enjoyed what you heard. I hope you kind of like the raw feel that we have here, because that's what I'm kind of going for, is just like the not overproduced thing. I don't want to do that. I just want to be like, hey, I'm in my basement. I mean, that's where we are. We're right in front of my workbench. This is where I fix shit. So, and I happen to have some cool amps. I hope this helps you make a decision. So say, you're just some dude, you don't have access to a Mesa dealer. You're wondering, will a 25 do what I need for my uses, or do I need to get a 50 or 100? That kind of thing. or just, you know, you like the amps and you want to get something different. One of the things that I do want to say just real quickly, the reason that I play the riffs that I play in a lot of the videos, so that's our main one here, the intro to Bark at the Moon, and then the EGDA, is because that gives us a pretty good picture of the fretboard from here to here. So you get a good variety. You get a little bit of chugging on the E, and you get some of the treble chords too. And I think that's pretty cool because it's easy to make anything sound decent just chugging on an E or chugging on an F or whatever you want to call it. But to sound decent all the way through, I think that's a good way to listen to an amp. I mean, you don't want just an amp that only chugs. You want it to chug and do other stuff. So that's why I play a lot of that. And then the other reason is I like Bark at the Moon, obviously, but the other shit that I just made up, you haven't heard it on albums for years and years. So it's not, when you hear it, your mind just goes back to the tonality of the album kind of thing. Now with Bark, you probably think of the CD. I don't know. But that's why I play what I play there. I can play a whole pile of stuff. So if there's anything you like, let me know. I mean, I have guitars and all the tunings. I'll play whatever. If you have any requests on these two, let me know. I'll be happy to help out. The last thing I'm going to do, and this is going to be horrible, where it's at now in the 20 watt mode with the volume, I'm going to leave it there and then flick it to 50, just hit a couple E's and then flick it to 100. I'll timestamp shit in the description here. That way you're not scrolling back and forth and hearing my dumb ass talk too much. So here we go. And that'll close it out. I'm just going to end by bringing the camera over, showing you the settings, and that's it.